Let's get over to Dan Caldwell appearance on Tucker Carlson. Dan Caldwell, as we said, was one of the individuals who was fired from the Trump administration. Pete Hegseth, his former boss, basically calling him a leaker, even though Dan literally worked for Pete Hegseth and was one of the biggest supporters of his becoming the Secretary of Defense. Well, here's what Caldwell had to say, asked point blank, did you ever leak any classified information like what is being alleged from the Secretary, and what is behind your firing? So let's take a listen.
It seems like the fastest way to derail the whole project, the Trump administration and the United States of America, is a war with Iran. And that's why I've just been watching it as carefully as I can, because I feel like, again, if you hated Donald Trump and you hated what the administration is doing on immigration, trade, anti-wokeness, whatever, and you wanted to stop it, the first thing you would do is apply pressure to have the U.S. military engage in a war with Iran. I mean, that's my perspective on it anyway.
I would think that, and also continuing to do what we've been doing previously in Russia, Ukraine.
For sure. Though I don't know why. Well, I'm going to ask you all about this, but it feels like Witkoff is helping a lot there. God bless.
I've already said he's a godsend.
God bless Steve Witkoff. I couldn't agree more. People knew that you weren't fully on board with the regime change program. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I was very open about it. I was very on the record about it. And most of the time when I was saying that we shouldn't do this, it was actually in support of, the president's stated preferences. Like, the president clearly doesn't want this. In the first term, there were people in his administration that wanted it. He clearly didn't want it. And so it was supporting people who didn't want the war. And so I was essentially...
But Donald Trump has said, and now his actions make perfectly clear, he would strongly prefer a diplomatic solution.
Correct. I don't want to speak for the president, but it's fairly obvious that that's what he wants.
Well, he said it. I mean, He said it again, and he ran on it.
So, look, you can see that Caldwell, is talking about Steve Witkoff. He's talking about war with Iran, about the preference for Trump for a diplomatic solution. But look, we can all do the math. Who's the person who got fired here? Who's the person who's on the... Is it policy? I have no idea, to be honest. Basically, there's so much chaos that anybody can read so much of what we like. Anybody can read any intention into what's happening. But it just seems as if the collapse of the Pentagon front office, whether it is policy motivated or not, is one where Mike Waltz gets to keep his job, the neocons in the NSC get to keep their job. Mm-hmm. Steve Witkoff is basically safe for now. You have no idea if he'll make it or not anytime, in the future. Because, with the Gaza thing, he could be sidelined or he could be sent to Moscow with Putin, tomorrow. We have no idea what the progress of those talks is going to look like. And the forces within the White House and the administration who want more war with Iran are now counter-signaling to protect Pete Hegseth, for example. Tom Cotton and others are some of his biggest defenders right now. So that's not a good sign. Not a good sign to me.
But again, both of these things can be true, that this was fueled by ideological differences, sharp ideological differences, and you have neocons, foreign policy blob, coming hard after people like Dan. Mm-hmm. And then that pressure could have forced Hegseth to do something that probably was in response to it and not good. So I feel like both of them, I don't know. I think you're right. We genuinely don't know what's happening behind closed doors at the Pentagon right now. It sounds like Dan actually did not do anything wrong, because I think, you wouldn't go out aggressively in media and answer these questions point blank, talk to Tucker if that were the case. And I think, maybe Pete Hegseth fired these guys to protect himself.
Yes.
These things don't have to be mutually exclusive.
Yeah. Look, it's certainly possible. I just don't know. I do know, of course, though, that with the absence of people like this, that power, it fills a vacuum, and so we know where that's going to happen. He was also pressed specifically on leaking. Let's take a listen to that.
So I just want to be totally direct with you. Did you leak classified information against the wishes of your superiors to media outlets?
Absolutely not.
Did you photograph classified material and then text pictures of that material to an NBC News reporter?
Absolutely not. And I have not spoken to an NBC reporter while at the Pentagon.
Do you know what you've been accused of?
No, I don't. Sitting here right now, myself and Darren Selnick and Colin Carroll, the other two individuals that were escorted out of the Pentagon, initially placed on leave and then fired on Friday, we have not been told as of this recording, one, is there what we were being investigated for? Two, is there still an investigation? And three, was there even a real investigation? Because there's a lot of evidence that there is not a real investigation.
So you could see specifically, didn't leak classified information. And that wasn't it. People were like, oh, well, he didn't say he didn't leak at all. It's like, well, Pete Hegseth just said you leaked classified information. He said he didn't.
Yep.
I don't know, maybe. But no polygraph test, marched unceremoniously out of the building.
Doesn't know if
no
there is an
investigation. Don't even know if there's an investigation. Had been cleared of an investigation. No result of investigation. You still just get walked out. I mean, he was talking about how up until the minute before he was told to leave the building that he had access to classified information, which is not the way that this all usually goes down. And let's take it outside of Caldwell, those other two. I've gotten to know some people who know them, and they're saying it's preposterous that like Darren Miller in particular would be leaking. He's like, he didn't even want to work at the Pentagon. Selnick, sorry. Apparently he didn't even be wanting to work at the Pentagon, did so out of loyalty to Pete Hegseth, and is now getting frog marched out of the building. So again, you can take that for what you will, but clearly the chaos inside of all of this, it's going to have a long-standing effect. That's all I know.
Yeah, and we're going to, I mean, whatever anybody thinks they know right now, we will probably find out that either it's much more nuanced or that it totally wasn't true because there's so much going on behind closed doors. But it does sound very clearly, at the very least, it sounds like these guys got burned by a friend, not just a colleague, but a friend.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.